And we're back, folks. So, starting off right now here with the dialectical journal. The term dialectic means the art or practice of arriving at the truth using conversation involving question and answer. It's a method of critical thinking that was popularized and also too kind of shunted into the mainstream of most academic circles a long time ago, a very long time ago, 3,000 years ago, almost 2,400 years without a doubt, by Socrates. It's called the Socratic method. Now, the idea here is to be able to put yourself in the role of the author. It's in the role of the critic, excuse me, a rhetorical critic. In fact, as the reading from last week actually highlighted for us from Sandra Foss, to put yourself in the role of a rhetorical critic and to think about how it is that the author what the author was thinking about when they put the words and the ideas together that they wrote down in their text or in their novel, be it fiction or nonfiction. In this case, we're actually reflecting critically on the novel by Barbara Ehrenreich entitled Nickel and Dime. So here's the overview. This is just a quick rundown of the actual assignment itself. Let me just give you an overview really briefly. So this here is the procedures. As you read, you want to keep track of the passages that really resonate with you, ones that actually resonate specifically with other topics or other ideas that we may have perhaps either read in this class or that you may have actually gotten encountered with in other classes, be they an economics class, a philosophy class, or even a history class. If you can make a connection, highlight it. If you see a connection with a quote or a line that Barbara Ehrenreich reads, or that you read in Barbara Ehrenreich's text, highlight it or underline it, and then come back to it a little bit later on. You want to reflect critically on it for this particular assignment. When you do go back to it, put that column, put that quote there down on the left side of the column. What column, you say? Well, down here we actually have what's called the dialectical journal chart. I'll show you just kind of the example of what it looks like right here on the same page. On this left page here, you're going to actually put down the passage that really resonates with you. And you're going to, in the middle of that column, put the page number that quote arrives on. And then over here on the right side, you're going to actually write down your comments and your questions. Now, how do you make comments? Not really so much your questions, but more so your comments. How do you provide critical commentary on a text? Well, it's actually very popular nowadays. If any of you actually spend most of your weekends like how I do, not grading papers, of course, but rather watching YouTube aimlessly, looking for the next video to click, most of you may actually kind of notice that a, whoops, sorry. Don't worry about that. I'm going to show us turnitin.com in just 1 second. But most of you may actually notice that there are a ton of videos, even on the trending page, where you have somebody who's offering a review either on a film, on a television show, or a book that just recently dropped, or an album. There are a ton of people from Nardwar to even Comics Explain, folks who actually provide critical commentary, or rather just kind of superfluous commentary, popular commentary on texts that are popular. I want for us not to provide superfluous or popular commentary. I want us to provide critical commentary. And the way to do that is by tapping into the knowledge that you received from last week's readings on ethos, logos, and pathos, the Aristotelian appeals charts, and the Sandra Foss reading entitled Introduction to Rhetorical Criticism. We're going to take on ourselves, right, the role of becoming a critic, and we're going to use that as our critical framework to read, as we're reading through Barbara Ehrenreich's Nickel and Dime. We're going to actually utilize that framework, the rhetorical critic, the framework of the rhetorical critic, as a way to identify specific texts that resonate with us and to unpack the deeper ideas that lie at the heart of those quotes that really speak to us. But just how do you do that? Well, as many of you may actually kind of notice on some of those YouTube videos, there's a certain kind of pattern that ends up kind of emerging, and they make certain kinds of rhetorical maneuvers and moves. Some of those maneuvers include summary, analysis, inference, synthesis, and evaluation. Most of the time, they're just really kind of labeling, they're doing a very non-academic, very popular and very easily digestible kind of pseudo or almost not quite evaluation, not quite critical evaluation. We don't want to do those kinds. We don't want to provide that kind of commentary. What we want to provide is a kind of commentary that is indeed critical and that's thoughtful and thought-provoking. So you want to summarize some of those passages, right, that you actually read or write down. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Let me back up just for a quick second. So the idea here is that your responses should be double the length of the quote that you select. At the very least, they should be double the length, right, of the quote that you select. I don't want for you to have a page long passage and then just a couple of sentences here. Absolutely not. That is unacceptable. You will quickly receive a fail on this particular assignment should that actually be. Your quote, or excuse me, your response should be at least double the length of the quote itself that you actually select. Okay. Now, how do you actually get your response? How do you grow your response? Well, you can actually combine some of these rhetorical maneuvers here. I wouldn't combine all of them in one response, but you might want to combine one or two. So, like, for example, if you highlight a particular text in Barbara Ehrenreich's book, let's say the last paragraph of the first chapter, right? You say, wow, that quote there really resonates with me. I want to take and I want to kind of write about that, right? Which one do I want to do? Oh, I want to do summarize, right? You can summarize, but the whole idea about summary is actually it doesn't help you to grow your response, but all it helps you to do is to really be able to pull out the main idea of the quote and to restate it in a condensed way. So that's quite the opposite of what you're looking to do here. This might not be one that you want to use by itself. You may want to combine summary with something like analysis or something like inference, right? Or maybe even something like synthesis, right? Or with an evaluation, okay? And the idea, the thinking behind this is because summary provides you with an overview of what the main quick ideas are, but analysis, take for example, enables you to break down some of the key ideas that you just summarized. Specifically, those ideas, if they look like examples of ethos, examples of logos, or examples of pathos, into their component parts, utilizing the Aristotelian appeals chart as your guide, right? So let's kind of take a quick look at the Aristotelian appeals chart really briefly. It's kind of getting loaded up here, but I just want to kind of highlight on that page there. It'll show you just what the component parts or what some of the examples look like of ethos, logos, and also pathos. So as we take a look here, this is logos, right, or appeal to logic or reasoning. It specifically refers to the argument itself and also to the facts that are actually used to help to support the claims that the author is making. A claim is an idea, okay, that must be proven. It gets proven specifically through the various types of logos, right? Theories, analogies, definitions, facts, statistics, data, right? These are the kind of examples of what we call supporting details, okay? So it has this kind of effect on the audience. It evokes a cognitive or rational response, and it gets the readers to be able to see how, right, a point or a claim that an author makes actually makes sense, right? So, like, take for example, I'll give you a quick hint. A good majority of you will actually notice that Barbara Ehrenreich uses what we call footnotes. Footnotes are the notes that actually lie down at the bottom of the page, and there's always a little number to the left of it, right? Let me see if I can actually pull it up. Whoops. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Let's go previous. Stay with me as I actually navigate through these pages. I just want to kind of highlight one example of logos for you. Some of these statistics that Barbara Ehrenreich uses in the actual text itself. Let me zoom on in right here. All right, so this is an example, ladies and gentlemen, of what you would see as you're reading through her text. This down here is what we would call a footnote, right? As you see right here, let's take a look. What does it say? 81%. Oh wait, what kind of type of thing is that? Is that a number? Is that a statistic? Is that some data? Yes, it is indeed, right? So something like this would actually function as a very effective use of logos, as we see, right? Logos does indeed refer to examples or types of logos, refers to factual data and statistics. So you would want to actually read through that, highlight that, right, and actually put it in. You'd want to actually put it in your dialectical journal. Let's go down here. You want to put it in your dialectical journal, right? Perhaps the most effective part of that particular quote, right? You want to put it over here on the left side of your dialectical journal, and then you would want to summarize and analyze, right, that specific example of logos, right? Because it actually helps you to, again, summarize and analyze or provide critical feedback in response to some of the deeper points that Barbara Ehrenreich as an author is actually making. And essentially, you want to actually do that throughout the entire text as you're reading. I would highly suggest that you all continue to read through this document right here, because it gives you tips and tricks on how to choose passages, how to respond to the text, along with the total number. Just in case you all need to kind of be reminded, you should have a total number of 15 dialectical journal entries, right? 5 from chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3, totaling up to 15. And it gives you an overview of some examples of what basic responses look like and kind of what they do. Now, of course, if what you're looking for is a high score, then you don't want to use the basic responses. What you want to do is you want to actually come down here to the higher level responses, right? And you want to kind of begin to perform these with respect to the quotes that you select. All right. And here's also some examples of what we would call sentence starters, sample sentence starters, right? So how to get your reflection on the right side over here started, right? That's what this kind of provides you with. Okay. So as we begin now to transition right on over here, whoops, I did not mean to show that to you. So when you get finished here, right, you're going to actually pull this chart here up. And it's going to, we're going to click there. Oh no, did it take us directly back here to dialectical journal chart? Okay, so need to make some adjustments right there, folks. Let's go over here to assignments. Okay, so my apologies. I actually went and gave you a link directly to the actual assignment, not the tool itself. I'll post up the other tool here shortly. And when you click on it, you'll be able to write on it, and you can actually just download it directly to your computer, right? After you get finished filling out your dialectical journal, it ultimately should look like this down here at the bottom, right? Well, you'll have an entire page full of quotes on the left side, and then also 2 responses on the right side. Now, when you get finished writing out the quotes and responses, what you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to submit this right on over here to turnitin.com. So as you all can see, I'm on our main turnitin.com web page. And as you see down here at the bottom, right, dialectical journals are due in the due column, right, September 23rd. So please feel free to go ahead and get started. I would suggest that you read 20 pages a day between now and Sunday. That would definitely get you through the book itself. You can also find audio copies on YouTube if you would much rather prefer to listen to the book as you're on your plane, train, or indeed automobile. Okay, I would definitely prefer for you all to actually read it so that way you can know where the quotes are. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, please contact me or send me a text. Hopefully this helps. This is Professor Cag signing off.